Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on practical technology considerations for small business owners. I'm Peter Talion, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host today, and our presenter is Bud Freund. More on Bud in just a moment. Now some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is the nonprofit national partner of the Small Business Administration with over 10,000 volunteers nationally. In Fairfield County, Connecticut, we have about 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners. Free one-on-one counseling, face-to-face, video, telephone, email, which can be accessed via Request Mentor link on our website or via the link on the screen. The second service we offer are extensive educational workshops and webinars, similar to what you are viewing today. And in addition, there are extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts at your disposal. We are pleased to announce that our next live webinar is on Tuesday, February 11 at noon, and the topic is Business, Legal, and Tax Tips for Creatives, with Cliff Enico presenting. Look for the specifics on the fairfieldcounty.score.org website. We also have a large number of recorded webinars on our website that cover a wide range of business topics. These can be viewed at any time by clicking on On-Demand Webinars. Some useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please use the Q&A button at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next day or so. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Bud Freund. Bud has been self-employed for over 40 years. After graduating from Ithaca College, his national and international photo assignments were from corporate, magazine, and public relations clients. With the demise of film, he migrated into the digital world and has been providing IT solutions to homes and small businesses for over 20 years. As a certified SCORE mentor, he regularly presents technology webinars and workshops throughout Fairfield County. It's now my privilege to turn it over to Bud. Bud, please go ahead.
Thank you, Peter, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We've got a lot of stuff to cover today, and it's going to be on those 4 particular items. But before we dive too deeply into all of that, I want you to take a moment and think about what you would do in the event that the computer that you use for your business stopped working. And it could be that you've got a phone that will cover the work, or you've got a tablet, or you've got an old desktop or a laptop, whatever it is. The important thing is to be able to do those 4 items in the bullets there so that you can keep your business running. And if you make that consideration and take the time to think it out, you will actually have a leg up on a multinational corporation who had absolutely no idea of what to do after the interview shut down the company because of a hack by North Korea. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about this item we all use that I think of as the everything thing, because that really is what it is. It's everything. It's billing, banking, investing, research, recreation, education, information, disinformation, misinformation, and of course, inexplicably binge-watching cats on YouTube. So the proper care and feeding of this device that you use is something that's very important. So 2 particular items that I want to call your attention to on this slide. The first one are Bitly's. Bitly is a website that will take a really, really long URL and crush it down into something that no human being would understand what 2XUIMI4 is. However, if you add a plus sign to a bit.ly, it is like a stopgap between where you're going to and where you are going to go to. It will tell you the URL if you add the plus sign at the back end, or if you go to that checkshorturl.com and paste in the bit.ly, it will also give you that information. QR codes, same thing. Randomly scan them. I proceed cautiously. If you're at Home Depot and there's a QR code, they've vetted that QR code, but I don't know a human who can look at that and tell you where it's going to take you. So proceed cautiously with these pieces of information that can go into your machine and basically shut it down, which is something you probably don't want to do. Also, understand that we're all figuring this out at the same time, and some people are figuring it out faster than others, and some people are just catching up. And what I'm going to try and do here is explain things that I've been doing for a number of years. And if you have questions, please throw them into the Q&A. I am happy to answer them at the end. And again, understand that people who have been doing this for a long time are well aware of the fact that this is massively confusing. And not only is it massively confusing, but the people who built it didn't realize what it was that they were building. So we've all kind of been put into this situation where we need to proceed cautiously. Some of us hire other people to help us do it. Some people want to do it themselves. Now, understanding that this is a somewhat dangerous world and that you could go out of business if you're hacked, there's going to be a bunch of stuff I'm going to start to feed to you. And as I said, please ask questions along the way. Also, if you're wondering about whether these people who check your credit are really up on the up and up, they've been hacked too. But you can get to all of their websites from these bit.lys. Once upon a time, all of your information were in those cardboard boxes. Now you can take that room of cardboard boxes and turn it into something that can fit megabytes of data, or gigabytes. It's incredible where we have moved to and what we can do. But again, in some places, we're not quite sure what we're scanning or storing or gathering. And as Bill Gates showed us, the quantity of information that you could fit onto a CD is just incredibly massive. That, by the way, I believe to be the original smartphone. This may date a lot of you, but hey, I've got gray hair. I remember this stuff. Another important concept to keep in mind about why all of this risk suddenly came about is that e-commerce has only been around for 30 years, but commerce itself, that coin is 2,700 years old. So what we are only doing for a short period of time, commerce itself has been around a long time. So we need to get some safeguards along the way. So let's start. First of all, if you are keeping customer data, this is your liability. This is part of what cyber insurance is about. I will talk in a little more detail in just a moment, but as a broad brush statement, data is something that is not insured. The people who might want to try and recover your data if you're hacked, they would be insured. If you had legal issues as a result of a hack, cyber insurance would cover that. But the data that you keep is your liability. So, how does a network actually work? Well, whether it's a printer, a computer, a tablet, a smartphone, these items go through in your home or your office a gizmo called a router. The router connects to a modem, which could come from anyone like Opt Online or Frontier Communications here in Connecticut. One quick caveat on that is that if you have cellular service on either a tablet or a phone, you don't necessarily need to go through the router to get out to the internet. You can go directly to a cellular tower, and from the tower, you will connect into the internet. So there are two doors going out to the world from a tablet and a smartphone. Computers, you can add a gizmo to get you there, but generally speaking, it's computer to router to modem to the internet. And where and when you can, I am a very big advocate of using wires. Wired networks are safer than wireless networks and more easily repaired because you're not grabbing air. And the resolution could be something as simple as replacing a wire, as opposed to a wireless situation where you may need to delete and re-add and take some time to figure out where your problem lies. Next item that's important to understand is that a company called TP-Link has connections back to Chinese espionage, and it is believed, just like the United States has planted items into our devices that go out of the country sometimes. Glenn Greenwald's book, No Place to Run, Nowhere to Run, No Place to Hide, documents that. TP-Links, if you are the owner of that and you're concerned about the stuff that you have in your business or at your home, you may want to consider a different router and reconnect with a different brand. Now, file structure. How do you keep your stuff? Where do you keep your stuff? Does it only live locally on the computers in your house? Is it something that's living online in what I like to call that single point in the sky? In which case, whether you're on your phone, your tablet, your computer, wherever you may be, you can grab that file, that presentation. I created this in PowerPoint. My PowerPoints live in a OneDrive, but when I go to presentation, by habit, bad or good, I download it to my local computer, and the file that you are looking at is living locally on my machine. However, if I have an idea and I'm somewhere, I can log on to my tablet and make a change, but eventually, personal opinion, personal concern, I download it locally. As you can see, if you've got something like OneDrive, you've got a front door that gets you into this point in the sky. You can create folders, you can create subfolders, you can name and label, and then the question becomes, who has access to that data? If you're a solopreneur, it's generally speaking immaterial. If you've got employees and there is information you don't want them to have, you can set permissions on folders that either allow them or do not allow them to have access to whatever it is that you either need them to get to or don't want them to have. Another item that I do is that I do my online deposits. I still have clients who pay me with a check, and historically, pre-COVID, you'd have to go to the bank to deposit the check. Today, you can take a picture with your smartphone or your tablet. It goes right into your banking system. However, if you do that, you get some sort of a transaction code record, and I make a screenshot of that for myself as a digital receipt of the transaction. I then keep those in a folder for whatever my calendar year. So I deposit a check or I take a picture. The picture says, oh, you're going to deposit that check into the bank. Here's your transaction code. Here's the dollar amount. I take a screenshot of that. I then upload it into my online into a calendar year. So I keep a record of that. And then of course you can check it when you go into your record, your chart of accounts or your bank records. So again, safety items. Education. This, whether you do it with us or you do it by reading or you learn from videos, you got to keep up with this stuff. And unfortunately, that information is sometimes questionable. So check your sources of information that you're getting them from, and B, understanding that there have been some changes in the government oversight of information online. Be cautious in what you put out. Your reputation will reflect on that. Antivirus, I strongly recommend it. I recently found this article which listed 5 free antivirus apps that you can use, both on Mac and PC. Worth reading. If you have backups, understand that they are something that you want to take offline so that they're somewhere else other than that point in the sky, because you can get corruption. And I've had clients get files corrupted because somebody clicked on something, it went into the point in the sky central storage and then spread to other computers. Backups, something that goes offline. Email. As you're doing email, I kind of set a cap of 5 or 6 people max that I would want to hit reply all. If you use BCC, blind carbon copy, everybody can get the information, but you are not sharing those email addresses with a whole slew of other people. And while you may be keeping your systems safe, there's no assurance that the people that you're connecting with are doing as diligent a job as you. So I am an advocate of BCC on larger group emails. And if it's important for everyone to know who's getting this information, put the names in the body of the email so that everyone knows they were BCC'd, but everybody else got a copy of the information. Also, understanding that email is a legal document, you may not want to delete those emails. You may want to archive them. And whether you're using Microsoft hosted Exchange or you're using Google, there are methods to get those archives and pull them offline. Passwords and two-factor authentication. Wherever, whenever, whoever will offer it to you. And for those of you who are using Venmo, the Venmo default on your mobile devices does not allow for a password. In other words, if you get hacked or your phone gets stolen and you don't have a password on your Venmo, it is free eats. So set up a password on Venmo, put in two-factor authentication wherever and whenever you can. It is just a safeguard to keep the stuff that you've got electronically safer. And updates. There are 80,000 doors. In computer speak, they're called ports, but there's 80,000 doorways into and out of a computer. And if you closed them all off, you wouldn't get any work done. Updates find out where the problems are and plug the holes. update everything diligently, please, especially if you're going to be doing the work yourself. Next item. AI has been in the news quite a bit, and I always have a lowercase I because, in my opinion, the intelligence is somewhat suspect both in the artificialness of it and the people using it, but that's a personal thing. More importantly, ChatGPT will take data off your computer. So if you are using ChatGPT, you want to turn off that chat history and training. And while that may be a nuisance, the security and safety of the data that you're using will be better and it won't be out in the public. Have I mentioned this notion of click first, regret later before? I like to remind people of that. It's an important one. And again, another one, those attachments, if you don't know where it's coming from, be careful. Those of you who don't know, Sergeant Phil Esterhaus from Hill Street Blues. So they have been slow in coming, but there are now legal obligations. And if you are curious about what they are in Connecticut, please go to fairfieldcounty.score.org, go to the on-demand webinars. Cliff Enico did a fabulous presentation about a year ago on what the changes were going to be. So you can get that information directly from an attorney who has given that information out. So, as I mentioned, with cyber insurance, it is really important to understand it is not covering your data. You may need to demonstrate to an insurance company that you do back up your data before they will provide cyber insurance. But cyber insurance in and of itself does not cover the data. And as it says there, your reputation is at stake with these things. Let's talk about the internet for just a moment, because that's a really big number. And I heard today that approximately 70% of all searches on the internet are now being done from mobile devices. And it could be to find out the best buy in town on a flat screen TV or sneakers, or what have you heard about that new restaurant? So everybody's going to the internet to get the information. But what's important to understand about the places that you're getting the information from is that it's not always good, valid, righteous information. And to build that trust, I have yet to talk to anybody who's in marketing who's been able to give me a really good explanation about how you build trust with your clientele from an internet website. Now, as I've been mentioning, whether you called it censorship or you called it monitoring or you called it oversight, whatever vocabulary word you want, it is important to understand that you are now on your own. In the immortal words of Reverend Johnson from Blazing Saddles, we don't have any way of knowing that the information that we're getting from online is righteous, valid, good. Look up Section 230 of the Federal Communications Code if you're curious to know why you have this free-for-all online. Once upon a time, there also used to be something called the Fairness Doctrine that required news entities to present both sides of an argument. That's no longer required. We're kind of left on our own to make these determinations. And again, with that in mind, the stuff that you put up there can be questioned and circumspect. So proceed cautiously with the internet as a source of providing or getting information. Um, those of you who are following the news very carefully, yesterday was a Sputnik moment, according to Mark Andreessen, who was the creator of the Netscape browser, which turned into Firefox. He's been around the internet a very long time. I just want to point out that OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, reported back in September of last year, 4 months ago, that they were going to be $1.3 billion short on their expenses. So this notion that suddenly somebody figured out how to do it faster or cheaper, um, I don't know if it's that big a revelation right now. It was something that was sort of coming for 4 months. And if you don't know this photograph from Diane Arbus, it kind of gives that idea of what the internet is now, at least how I feel about it. So let's talk about some of the things that you can use or that I use and recommend to other people for making your machinery and your work and your time online or your time on a computer more efficient. First of all, whether you are at a desk or you're on the road, I am a huge advocate of second monitors. They just make things work more efficiently. And for those of you who are online, if for those of you who travel with a laptop, there is a piece of free software. I'll say that again. Duet is free software provided you hardwire your tablet to your computer, Mac or PC, and it will give you a second monitor. For those of us in the world of Photoshop, all of your palettes go onto your tablet and your image goes on your big screen. It works fabulously well. If you want it to work without a wire, then there's a cost to it. If you are traveling and you're on the road a lot, you've got a tablet and a phone, get a Bluetooth keyboard. For 20 bucks, give or take, it is one of the most fabulously efficient things you can do for your life. I have sat in the parking lot at the Stanford Town Center and I have typed out a 2-page letter because for me to get home, to do the work, to go out again, it just wasn't an efficient use of my time. With a Bluetooth keyboard, I put my phone up on the dashboard, I typed away, and it works. A stylus, if you are using a tablet that will allow you to do note-taking, there is GoodNotes or Nebo, either of which will allow you to use a stylus to take notes on your tablet. They store electronically. There is an app you can get that will allow you to read the notes on your phone. The writing on the phone, if it works, is kind of kludgy. Get a bigger screen, it works better. Whether you're going to use Google Drive, OneDrive, Box, or Dropbox, I strongly advocate you only pick one, because what happens in the heat of battle is that you're absolutely certain you put that file into the Dropbox folder, and I don't understand why it isn't there because you happen to be on your Android device and you pushed it into Google Drive, which is why it's not in Dropbox. Pick one. Stick with the one. If you have to pay for extra space to make it work better, it's a worthwhile investment for your business. Microsoft Hosted Exchange or IMAP. If email is the lifeblood of your business, I urge you to invest in your business. IMAP is the method by which, if you are using Gmail, You could type a reply on your laptop and it will show up on your phone. You can send the reply from your tablet and it will show up on your desktop. IMAP connects all of them together in the Google world. Microsoft Hosted Exchange does that in the Microsoft world using Outlook. More than once, I have had clients who just couldn't get to whatever it is they wanted. We have had to create what's called a new profile. And through the magic of Microsoft Hosted Exchange, everything that was online comes back down onto whatever device you put the new profile on. And it is something that prevents massive amounts of gray hair and aggravation. Next, a collection of free software things. Portable apps and LibreOffice are still in existence. I am a huge fan of PicPic as an app for doing screenshots. It's my preference. You can use the clipper in the Windows environment. It wasn't something that I found prior to PicPic, and I am a big believer in getting the work done. So I pick an app to do the work and I stick with it, because otherwise what happens is you've got the learning curve of figuring out how to do all of these things. Toucan, I'm unfortunately literally blanking right now, but I believe that it is a method of converting files so that if you have them in one format, you can get it into another. Somebody wants to check me on that. I'm in the middle of a prezo and sorry, gray hair, I blanked. VLC, it's a video viewer and it is extremely forgiving. It will play multiple different formats. Liberkey is also a place where you can get multiple free apps. The browsers, most of them are familiar names. In a slide coming up, I'm going to list a couple of the Firefox add-ons that I am a very big fan of. I generally use Brave, which uses the same engine as Chrome, but Chrome, being a Google product, is going to track anything and everything you do. So Brave does not do the tracking. And as a safeguard to that tracking thing, I use DuckDuckGo for probably 85% of my searches that I do in a web browser. I am now using with far greater frequency perplexity.ai. That will be coming up in a little while, but perplexity.ai has both a paid and a free version. They're going to try to push you to the paid version, but the free version works really well, and they haven't restricted me on anything just yet. And again, if you're following the news, they are offering a bid to purchase TikTok. LibreOffice is an equivalent to Microsoft Office. OpenOffice is a Linux alternative to Microsoft Office. You can save things in Microsoft Office format. It is not the default, which in English means that if you create a document in open office format and mail it to a Microsoft person, they are not going to be able to open it. The same is true in the Macintosh world, where Keynote Pages and Numbers come with your computer, with your hardware. But if you don't save in the other format, it's going to land on somebody's machine and they're not going to be able to do anything with it. Google, they will give you those three. Everybody in the Office suites are providing the same items. Canva will give you a scaled down version, but if you are doing your own media work, I strongly recommend the $160 a year investment in Canva. It is the Swiss Army knife of digital communications absolutely fabulous. Again, on the SCORE org website, fairfieldcounty.score.org website, you will be able to find a couple of webinars on Canva. Super anti-spyware is another item that I am a very big fan of. You need to run it manually. In the free version, you need to update the virus definitions in the free version, but it's going to find a whole bunch of garbage, and then it will restart your computer at the back of it. This, by the way, is my current world's record from a client. You want to look at them and say, what are you doing and where are you going? The mobile device list. So what do we have here? I'm a music fan. Whether you're in Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, that's your storage stuff. I am a fan of Evernote as opposed to OneNote from Microsoft. They're pretty much interchangeable, though I pay for an Evernote subscription. Zoom, we all know and love, we're here. Perplexity AI, as I mentioned, the thing I like about it as artificial intelligence is that it will give you the citations of where it is pulling its information. A couple of these you don't really need to have any definitions on. Only if you're in Venmo or your bank, make sure you've got the two-step authentication on. QuickBooks Online, a quick cautionary note about QuickBooks Online on your mobile device. QuickBooks will let you create an invoice from your phone or tablet while you're sitting in your car right after you did the job. However, they will not let you turn off the options to get paid immediately through the QuickBooks banking system or the QuickBooks credit card system or whatever other system. QuickBooks will take a percentage of your payment. If you want to be billing your clients using QuickBooks Online and not allowing your clients the option to use QuickBooks as the payment vehicle, you need to work from a desktop computer. And whether you're in Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, or TikTok, there are people who are living in social media, something to consider. Smart News, I am a huge fan of Smart News. It's my favorite news aggregator, and I probably hit it far too many times during the day. As I mentioned earlier, couple of those tabs that you add-ons you may want to consider for Firefox. FlagFox will tell you the country of origin of any given website you're touching. So if you are going to, let's say, tdbank.com and you get the flag of Lithuania, I don't recommend you put in your username and password. Colorful tabs will make things look a little different on screen. ForecastFox will give you weather all around the world. So if you've got clients who are in other countries, you can start your chat with, gee, I see it's raining in your hometown there. How's it going? Or whatever else. Simple Search allows you to aggregate a number of different searches into a single place. And Chrome Remote, if you set it up properly, will allow you to access your computer back at the office when you are out and about. Proceed cautiously, and if you aren't familiar with this, make sure you get some help, because once you let people onto your machine, that could be a problem. So, where are you going to find people who can do this sort of stuff? And especially with everything we know now about what's going on in social media, proceed cautiously with those recommendations, whether you're in a Facebook group or you're in Nextdoor, any of these places. If you don't know these people, proceed with caution, please. And also, it is really important to understand that neither Microsoft nor Apple are going to call you to tell you that there is a problem with your computer. The only time that they might do that is in a Saturday Night Live skit. Otherwise, there are so many millions of people, they are not watching your machine. Really important to understand that and share that with people, particularly older people who may hear, I got a phone call from Microsoft. Microsoft isn't going to call you. So where do you look? I am a huge fan of getting it from referrals. If you know other people who are running small businesses, who's taking care of your machines? Use them. The social media groups, as long as you can recognize the names or you know that your friends are in there, I would put trust in that. At SCORE, we keep a list of people who do both tech work and web work, and there will always be multiple choices. We are not not allowed to provide a single reference source. So you could get multiple choices from SCORE. YouTube has more videos than anybody knows what to do with, that will tell you how to do things. And frankly, I have been sitting at clients' shops, homes, and asked Perplexity, how do I ... because it does a really nice job of providing the bullet points that will give you the what to do and how to do it. Now, I have talked with far too many people over the years who have said, oh, I've got to do a second click, or I've got too many clicks in order to do this antivirus scan, or to run spyware, or too much work. This is work. These are people who are doing work. In my opinion, a right mouse click is not work. It may be an investment in time, but it's not work. So anyone who's ever done a presentation will tell you there are three parts to a presentation. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them, which is also known as the recap. So, as we said, secure the data that you've got, the devices that you use, and the network they're on. Remember, TP-Link may not be the router of choice anymore, so proceed cautiously with that, particularly if you are holding other people's data. It is evolving into your liability and your reputation for the safe storage of their data. Understand that you've got legal obligations now, which are constantly changing, and I can't recite acronyms. They're meaningless to me, and probably even more so to you. But right now, there is some computer acronym that your company must have in order to do business with the Department of Defense. And within the next year or two, that computer acronym is going to become a mandatory obligation for people who want to get cyber insurance, and if you are doing business on computers. So this legal obligation scenario is changing. Proceed cautiously and know what they are. In the world of productivity, as I said, Perplexity AI, Microsoft, use a single point in the sky. Lots of choices these days as to where to go and what to use. And last but not least, of course, look for help if you are putting a full reliance of your business on a computer. So, what can I answer for you?
Thank you very much, Bud, for that great presentation. We have one question in the queue, but we strongly encourage our audience to put additional questions in. We've got some time left. Put the questions into the Q&A at the bottom or put it into the chat. So we'll start off with the first question, Bud, and it is, if I turn off the training feature of ChatGPT to prevent it from using my information, will I still get the benefit of updated versions of the tool, or will I be using an older static version?
I'm not sure about whether it will be a current or older version of ChatGPT. There is a newer version coming out. More importantly than the version of information is the fact that it's not scraping data off of your computer, which is the more important thing to me about whether you are using ChatGPT or not.
And does, just a follow-up, does the same type of security concerns impact some of the other AI products that are out there?
Oh, I'm sure it does. By name, I couldn't tell you, but understand that in this world of what's called large language models, where people are gathering data so that they can analyze it and modify it. A quick point here. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which is a very fancy way of saying a regurgitator. In other words, if information has been pre-trained into an AI model, it will be able to transform the information it's got and generate something for you. But it's got to be living in the machine already, which is what the pre-training is all about.
Excellent. Our next question, and keep them coming. If you know, what will your general business liability insurance cover versus cybersecurity insurance?
Oh, that is something that, as a smart answer, I would ask you to talk to your insurance agent. Your general insurance, by what I know, as opposed to what may actually be the case, is that if you've got general insurance covering the fixtures in your office, or I'm not even sure that errors and omissions may be included in general business insurance. But the liability that you may experience if you say, well, we normally charge $30, but for you, we'll do it for $20. And then the bill shows up as $40 and somebody gets annoyed and files suit over that sort of thing. You may have coverage if it doesn't go below your deductible rate. But the cyber insurance, repeat it again, it's a very important thing to understand. Cyber insurance will cover the physical world liabilities that you might experience as a result of some sort of cyber hack or corruption of data. In other words, I've got my 500 client list on my computer. Somebody hacks it, And included in that list are their credit card numbers and all of that information. Somebody breaks into my computer, steals that information, encrypts my computer and says, well, if you give me $1,000, I'll give you the key to unlock your data. Cyber insurance, I don't believe, will cover that $1,000. Cyber insurance might cover, I got my data back, but some of it's still all messed up and not sitting in the proper fields. It will cover the team that is going to help you resurrect the data that got corrupted. Cyber insurance will cover the person who sends you the lawyer's letter that says, I am going to take you to court because you lost my credit card and now I have a bad credit rating and I've got all of these situations resultant from the hack that happened on your machine. It'll cover the lawyer. It will cover the court costs. But the actual data, cyber insurance is not covering the actual data. And by the way, in that, how do you secure your data? I am a huge fan of a company called Datto, which is located up in Norwalk. They basically put a box in your office, which is the intermediary between your computer and Datto online command, whatever you want to call it. And it backs up your computer on an ongoing basis to the extent that if your computer is hacked, you could log into Datto online and you will see your computer there and able to work. You will be able to download from Datto, and I have done this, what is called a bare metal restore. Your computer is so corrupt it isn't going to work. You wipe the drive, you connect it back to Datto. Datto downloads your computer back onto your machine in your office, and you can go back to work. Additionally, Mozy, Carbonite, these are online services that will allow you to do regular backups. And both of those I have used to recover people's data. And in the scenario, in the Mozy Carbonite scenario, what basically happens is that your computer is uploading to Mozy Carbonite Online. Mozy Carbonite Online is then taking what's come up to them periodically. I don't know whether it's hourly, daily, whatever it is, but they are periodically taking that upload and pushing it over to a computer that is not online. So your stuff is preserved, safe, holy, whatever you want to call it, off of that trunk line connected to the internet. So you have a problem, you lose your data, you can tell Datto, and I've done this, I lost information on October 3rd, 2024, Mozy Carbonite, they can go into that offline record, find what you're looking for, and get it back to you. It's really quite extraordinary that they're able to do it. Anything else I can answer for you?
Okay, it looks like the queue is empty, so let us close today's session. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar and the materials will be available within the next day or so on our website under On-Demand Webinars. Our next live webinar is on Tuesday, February the 11th at noon, and the topic is Business, Legal, and Tax Tips for Creatives with Cliff Enico presenting. Look for the specifics on the SCORE website. Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. You will also be receiving evaluations. We take the evaluations very seriously, and we ask you to spend a moment to fill them out and return them to us. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's live webinar. And in closing, a great big thank you to you, Bud, for all the information and wisdom that you gave us in the last hour. We wish everybody a great day. That concludes our webinar. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, folks. Have a great day.